Now it's time. We're throwing a little bit now because typically Sean Patrick Bowley from Game Time CT comes in on Tuesdays, but here he is on a Monday, and why not? Because we have games coming up tomorrow. Yeah. So before we get to all, we're going to preview some of these big playoff games coming up, Sean. Let's get right to the poll. We'll start with the 6 through 10. A couple of minor changes here.
Yeah, we have the New Canaan Rams.
Back in, huh?
Back on top, or back in the middle at least. Number 8, big win over number 1 Darien. You know, it wouldn't have been the playoffs without New Canaan. I'm actually glad that they won. Sorry, Darien. I'm really glad that they, even though I even picked New Canaan to win. That's how glad I am.
I thought New Canaan was going to win, yeah.
It came down to a missed field goal, but and their defense played great. They didn't allow them an offensive touchdown. Yeah. Anyway, so they're
special teams touchdown. We'll get to that in a second.
They're in there at number 8. Ansonia, New Britain, feeling no love. They dropped from 8 to 10 because they got to make a room for New Canaan. Didn't even play. People forgot about them. At least they didn't forget about them enough to drop them out all entirely. I feel really bad for Fairfield Prep. They're sitting there not too far behind at number 11. But what are you going to do? There's only 10 teams here.
There is a new number 1, Greenwich Cardinals. New number 1 in the state after the loss by Darien. So there you go. Daniel Hand moves up. Shelton moves up, and their Darien drops all the way to 4. Let's face it, Rob Trifone and the Blue Wave couldn't care less about dropping to 4 at this point. They just want to pick up a couple wins here and get back to the state championship game.
Quick thing on that. They've never lost 2 games in a row since Rob's first year, 2007.
Is that right?
Yeah, of course, they lost last year going into the tournament.
They lost last year going into it, and they won 3 straight, and the rest was history. Three state championships in a row. They have not lost 2 games in a row since, and that was his only losing season at Darien, his first year.
I think Daniel Hand picked up one more first place. So how close is it between Greenwich and Hand for 1 and 2?
Not close.
Not close. Yeah. Not as close as Darien and Greenwich were. Darien and Greenwich, one person didn't vote. It was almost like Greenwich almost became number 1 like last week. Then someone put their vote in last second, and thankfully we didn't have any crazy changes for no reason. Now we have a winner. You need to knock them out.
It's tough voting this time of year because somebody does it like Ansonia beats Naugatuck. Ansonia's got to stay in the top 10. Just listen, it makes
like New Canaan lost to St. Joe and then they lost to Greenwich. But and Darien beat St. Joe and
didn't play Greenwich.
But do you drop them below St. Joe?
It's hard. Yeah.
I don't.
Some people did. You have to consider how they're playing at that time. Yeah. But let's just get back to this New Canaan thing for a second because New Canaan comes in, beats Darien, and boy, if you're Shelton, you're going. Gee, thanks for that number one seeding. So let's talk about this Shelton.
Couldn't we have lost to Fairfield Prep? I mean. Oh well. Anyway, this is great defense. I didn't even get to really watch much of this game, but from what all the counts was, they were fired up to come out and play in this one.
And this kid's back, this receiver for New Canaan.
Right? He almost knocked himself out.
He had a sprinkler head or something.
Yeah,
right?
he was injured early in the year. His name is escaping me, and he was injured early in the year and came back.
Good for him. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So all right,
put me on the spot.
Well, I couldn't remember either.
Well, no, listen, they had all those players, and we had them number 1 before the season started, and they come up with a great defensive effort. I mean, and they got the offense when they needed. I think it was O'Connell who caught the touchdown pass, put them ahead with 6 and change left, and they only allowed 2 touchdowns on special teams, and what was the other one on?
One was a fumble return, and one was exactly. It was a fumble return. So. Let's get back to Shelton now because Shelton has just been winning all season long, playing. Listen, they finish out with Derby. That's a team you expect them to put up a lot of points against, and they do. Yeah. But they just found a way to win every game. I think that victory over Fairfield Prep as the season progressed looks more and more impressive.
Yeah.
But Shelton, like I say, congratulations. Now you get New Canaan. Kind of the same thing we said in Class L last year with a Massick or whoever it was last year when New Canaan won and got into the playoffs.
New Canaan was in Class L last year.
L, yeah.
Right, and then they beat up the number 1 seed, Middletown.
Oh, that was at Middletown.
Middletown, they beat them 23-9 or something like that, and you felt for poor Sal Morelli. We get the number 1 seed, we got to play the perennial champs here. Same thing with Shelton. Shelton's been really, they've really been coming on a lot last few weeks. The second half of the season, the offense seems to be really humming along now.
Yeah,
There's David Yakowitz running up the
quarterback now.
Yeah, well, he was. We don't know what they were comfortable last year. What happened this year? We don't know. So But you got Yakowicz, you got Roberts, you got Carr. I mean, they're looking like the team that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. So maybe this time, maybe this is going to be their year to knock it. It's been so long since the FCAC really kind of just been dominating the whole proceedings here. Now the SEC's got a little, and even the SMC's got a little chance to kind of knock these guys off and make it an FCAC-free Class LL championship, or at least as much as possible.
Well, I think the Greenwich Cardinals may have something to say about that. And
I agree with that.
Greenwich has been putting up so many points this year that sometimes we forget about how good that defense is. You think about the defense at the Staples. You think about this. Thanksgiving Day, Staples comes in needing to win to get into the playoffs, and Greenwich shuts them out. Staples was playing hard. There was, this wasn't a Staples team that wasn't motivated. And Greenwich not only got it done offensively, but defensively as well. So I think sometimes people overlook how good this defense is, holding a team like Ridgefield to 3, holding Staples to nothing. And Coach talked about how he's got some guys on defense who are big-time players, but you wouldn't necessarily know it by the way they act.
And a defense, it's assignment defense. We have stars that don't act like stars. They have no egos. They rally around each other. And each week it seems like we have a new guy making plays. So it's a lot of fun to watch right now.
I just give all the credit to our defensive coordinator, Coach Hochter. He's great at just scheming teams up, and we play hard for him. And that's all we did today.
I love it. I don't know. I'm excited to start our playoffs. We still got a long way to go, and just that.
So there you go. So Greenwich's defense, and I listen. New Britain's a solid team, no doubt about it. A good defensive team, but I think they haven't seen anything like this Greenwich Cardinal team yet.
No, I don't think so either.
They haven't seen the balance.
No,
and just the amount of personnel, the amount of people who are coming in.
I don't think teams play. No offense to anyone, but I don't think anybody plays defense in the CCC like they do at Greenwich High School. I mean, you talk about Feta, you talk about BC who had 8 sacks in a game. You try to pass against him, he's coming down, he's running down your throat. But then you have a lot of the other guys you don't really hear about as much. Terry's in there. All their names are all of a sudden escaping. They're kind of a no-name defense for the most part. They do a lot of good things. They haven't really. If they need to take over a game, the Greenwich defense will. They needed it a few weeks ago. They needed if the offense isn't quite crisp, and in this case, maybe they did what they had to. But if the offense isn't quite crisp, the Greenwich defense knows how to take control.
Real quickly, talk about New Britain, and if this is a team, in your opinion, that can beat Greenwich.
I don't think there's many teams who can beat Greenwich, but if they're going to do it, they're going to need this guy right here, Sean Robinson, who just pulls over people. I mean, he's probably one of the best backs in the state. And then there's Tajay Yap, the quarterback, who's another runner as well, and he can probably sling it too. But they're going to need plenty of protection. And a big part about this is getting back Kion Gunn, who got hurt in the middle of the Southern game, a game they lost. They haven't lost since, but getting Kion Gunn back as that second option at running back, that might free things up again a bit for the other two to work their magic as well. They need that third guy, and I know they tried to work him in a little bit during the Berlin game. He only played a couple plays. Why they didn't need him. So in this case, they're going to need him, and hopefully he's healthy enough. And if they get those big boys going, they need to play a little ball control. You don't want to score too fast, Sean. Yeah. But you play a little because they're gonna come right down the field. And score on them. So you don't want to get into a shootout. You want to play a lot of ball control and try and move the chains a bit. But that's the only way I really see them pulling an upset here is get those guys going, but at the same time keep away from Greenwich.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Sean, don't go anywhere. We need you. We got another segment to talk about the state playoffs right after this.